All right, here we go. We're excited to be back here again on the Stronger Together podcast. I am your host, Matthew Joseph, excited to amplify the voices of FETC, and I am thrilled to bring on today Liz. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Matt. So great to see you here.
It is great to see you. I know I recently saw you at Nicegate and saw all the great work that you're doing. I saw you actually in the playground area, checking out what was going on there, but I know you'll be heading to FETC doing some of your own work. And for those who don't know who you are or don't follow your work, I'd love for you to share who you are and the work that you're doing.
Sure thing. Well, as Matt said, my name is Liz Bostwick, and I've been in a lot of different roles. So I started out as an elementary teacher, then worked into being an instructional technology specialist, and then have also been a learning consultant with Canva for Education for the past 3 years. So I also do a lot of my own work. I'm an author as well. I'm the author of the book, Take the Leap, Ignite a Culture of Innovation. And that's really all about how we can transform learning experiences in the classroom through deepening engagement. And so a lot of the work that I did with Canva had to do with how we can leverage Canva in the classroom to really empower students and deepen engagement.
And I think that's so important in the work that I've seen you do, and then I see you nationally support other educators, is how to bring that out into classrooms. And where did that passion start? Because you're very focused on that, you're very, entrenched into that innovation side. So where did that start for you?
Well, I would say, honestly, a combination. One, I'm a mom of 2 boys. I have an 18 and a 20-year-old now, which is crazy to even think about, but really watching them learn as they grow up, understanding how they make connections to be able to demonstrate their understanding. That was really insightful as a parent, but also at the same time, just being in the classroom and understanding what helps kids shift short-term memory into long-term memory. And so there are so many great tech tools that we can leverage. And for me at the time, I didn't have a tool. Canva wasn't around at the time when I was back in the classroom at that time, but we used a lot of tools that you could do similar things. So it was a lot of annotating, being able to do some visual thinking, reflection, collaboration, even just creating videos that help kids to explain their understanding of multi-step math problems. Sure. And so it really came all about how do we take kids and make them feel that their learning is really meaningful to them. Because that's important. It has to be relevant. It has to be meaningful. And so it was always about how do we integrate technology in a meaningful way to make that happen for them. We did that a lot of times incorporated within project-based learning, and then, of course, all subject areas too.
Yeah, and it's so important. And one of the things I took from your book is just those practical strategies, something that's not going to take you months and months, that here's what you can do today, and here's how you can enhance students. And then you talk a lot about the personalized piece of that. And I think that's important. And what have you seen in your work around the personalized aspects of innovation?
Well, I find that anytime you can help personalize learning for kids and help them understand that they can be leaders of their learning, you're going to see that transformation happen in the classroom. And I love being able to have kids, you can have one assignment, or you could even have multiple assignments for students, 2 or 3 or 4 choice-based activities. And then students can put their own unique spin on things. And so there's so many different ways that we can differentiate, we can personalize, and again, making it meaningful to students. So, and yes, that's a great point too, is within my book, that's one of the things I focus on is we did a lot of project-based learning. People think that project-based learning has to be cumbersome, it's lengthy, it's time consuming, but you can really do certain projects depending on what you're hitting on within 2 to 3 days, mini projects, but you could also do one that lasts 2 to 3 weeks and make it very interdisciplinary. So I'm all about taking what you can do, what makes sense, and then doing it in the classroom.
And that's awesome. And you're going to be bringing some of that down to Orlando into FETC, because you have a 2-hour workshop on Tuesday, vibing visuals. I think just the title itself is great. So if you are scrolling through the agenda or filters, make sure to check out on Tuesday at 4:00, vibing visuals with Liz. So for those who are let me go to this session. What are you going to be bringing to that? I know I'm sure it'll be hands-on. I'm sure it'll be engaging. Absolutely. But share with us what you're bringing.
Well, in this 2-hour workshop, it is going to be packed with hands-on activities. So I'm really excited about the possibilities of how we're going to get educators into Canva. This session is really designed so that even adults, like anything I do within my sessions, they do model things that I would do in my classroom. So there's going to be choice, there's going to be opportunities to differentiate. So it is a session that is created to support all Canva users at any level. So if you're really experienced, there's going to be activities for you. If you're brand new to Canva, we're going to help get you started. So I'm really excited about that. It's a lot of fun. It's very interactive. People get to share with one another, get to share ideas. So it's not just all about me talking, but also about others sharing about what does this look like in their classroom? How are they using it as an educator in their role? How are they using it with students? And ultimately, yes, it's about incorporating the tool, but really just best instructional practices and strategies in the classroom too. So it really is all about different techniques so that we can supercharge creativity in the classroom.
Yeah, and I think that's just great. I've seen some of your sessions and you bring that energy and hands-on learning. I do want to ask, because there are a lot of first-time presenters coming. I've spoken to a lot here, and you're a veteran presenter. What would be some of the tips that you share for first-time presenters at FETC? Because it's a large national event.
Well, one thing I always share with other people who are presenting is that, and this is, something that I've heard from other presenters, but also something that I do believe in myself. It's really easy to feel like nervous about like, oh my gosh, I'm going to stand up and have all these people looking at me, and I'm charged with sharing all this information. But one thing I've learned is that it's less about us standing in front of the room, and it's more about the audience in the room, and making sure that whatever we do to provide our participants, to facilitate, that it really meets their needs. So to me, I always recommend to other speakers, presenters, take the focus off yourself. It's about your audience. Really understand, get to know your audience, let them share. Like anytime you're like finish up a little section, turn to your audience and ask them questions.
Sure.
And involve them, because oftentimes those questions also help guide, just like it would in the classroom, it guides the direction of your session. So helping you to just kind of adjust along the way to make sure that you're making those small modifications to meet the needs of everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, because one of my favorite parts about FETC is all the different tracks of educators come from school leaders to district leaders to ed tech coaches to librarians. And I think all of that comes together. And again, I want to flash up your book, because I think a lot of the work that goes in there, it touches on all aspects of innovation, ignite the culture of innovation. And I know LEAP is an acronym. I'd love for you to dive in for those who are going, because you do have an author book signing. So if you're coming, not only are you going to go to our session on Tuesday, the 14th, go see Liz on the 16th at 1:30 to have your book signed. Tell us a little bit about the book and how you've seen it support classrooms.
Sure thing. Well, and actually, I get to go this Friday. I'm working with high school students, so I'm really excited.
Exciting.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a little bit of a different focus. So I'm going to be working with high school students on how they can build their brand for tomorrow, today. So we're going to be focusing on that. Yeah, and also about how they can harness their potential to create a future they love. So it's all geared towards high school students who are seniors and about to go off into either work and college. So I'll start with that. And then kind of go into just with the book, it really does support educators in doing a lot of the work that I'm doing. LEAP is an acronym, and it really stands for how you can foster a luminous culture, one that shines a light on every individual. And then it goes into empowered learning, how we can really not just empower our students. I think our students come to the classroom, they already have the potential within them. But a lot of times, depending on the grade level you're teaching, kids come into our classroom with oftentimes certain structures in place from before. They might have certain expectations that they know are very familiar, and that can be a good thing. But at the same time, I really believe in a very vibrant and collaborative classroom. So it's helping kids to understand what they are empowered to really do. And then, of course, how we can create authentic learning experiences through hands-on activities, project-based learning, even maker education, gamifying our content. And then, of course, it goes into ultimately, how do we as educators reach our full potential while simultaneously supporting our students in that journey themselves? And so doing that work in just working with educators, that's one thing that I saw an opportunity with, is also not just working with educators, but working with high school students as well, because the message really does cross over beautifully. So I'm really excited about all of the different opportunities to be able to leverage the message.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And then you weave all of that together. And because of that, where do you go to for your own learning? Because you have a lot of this knowledge that you're sharing with other people, but you also consume a lot. Where are some places that you go to grow yourself?
Well, number one, I do use our local library. I love our library. That's my big thing right now. I love Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. That's been a great one too. There's so many great reads. And of course, in our network, I'm always learning from others. So when I go to conferences, it's not just about me presenting and sharing, but it's also about me attending sessions and learning from others. People like you. I'm always
Yeah.
learning from amazing educators out there, and there really are so many. I also like to keep up with taking different courses. I do some things on like LinkedIn, for example, and I think it's just really important to always keep learning in different ways. But yeah, networking, having those communicate conversations and communicating with others is really powerful, though, to me.
Yeah, and it's exciting to hear that you're going to continue to take this to the next level, and you're going to be doing some of your own work. And I know I'm going to put up her website down at the bottom, but if you log into her website, there's so many different resources here. You're going to see it scrolling down at the bottom, from the books that you have, the podcasts you've been on, writing a blog, all sorts of different resources. So what's that journey going to look like going forward for you?
Well, that's one thing that I find always looks a little bit different year to year. I have some new projects coming up, which is really great. I love the different work that I'm doing just with like Tisha Richmond. She and I have a podcast together called Spark Joy in EDU. We're actually meeting next Saturday to do a new episode because we kind of took a bit of a break. We're on two opposite sides of the country and very different time zones. So we're going to realign with that. So we're going to get a lot out there with our podcast. And then, of course, just getting into more blogging and sharing in that way. I will be at FETC. I look forward to also being at ISTE this year. That'll be great. Oh, and actually in March, I'll be at NC Ties too.
Wow.
So that'll be
Okay.
fun
Great.
too. Yeah, quite a few things coming up.
That's exciting. So as people go in there, what are some of the work that you do? Because I saw on there a contact you. So for those who are watching are like, I'd love to have her come to my district, or I'd love to have her come to some of that work. What would that look like for you?
Yeah, so I do keynote sessions. My main keynote is all about how to take the leap as educators. But then, of course, as I mentioned, I do student sessions. And then, of course, I also do breakout sessions for educators. I've done all kinds of different sessions, some that leverage technology in them, which is also great too. We've done some hands-on ones with design thinking and wearable technology, which has also been a lot of fun. So the whole goal is to really get educators to be hands-on and engaging in discussions on how do we create a culture in our classroom where students feel comfortable to take responsible risks so that they can really dive into their own potential and get in touch with what they want to learn and making it meaningful. So again, everything can always be tied in within any content area, but largely it really does focus on culture. I always tie everything back to culture, right? Like whenever students, if we really want them to take responsible risks, if we want them to embrace failure or just being able to identify what they want to do next step-wise, like with the high school students I'm working with, it does come down to culture and creating a culture where they feel safe to be able to share their big ideas.
Yeah, and I think, getting that's the human element of the technology, or the technology supporting the learners and supporting the educators. And I think that's great. And speaking of supporting, I was talking to Jen Wumble about all the new things that are coming. And there's so many more, vendors and solution providers in the expo hall. Is there anyone that you're like, oh, I really am excited to meet this new company? Or I know there's a whole new startup now. Or there's certain ones that you're looking to go seek?
Well, there's always quite a few. I always love connecting with people at Book Creator. I always enjoy seeing people from Magic School AI they're a great group of people. Wakelet is always a great place to stop by. Honestly, you can't go wrong. I feel like so many people who are vendors and work at the expo halls, there are always so many possibilities. I know the Canva team is going to be there, so definitely stop by and see the Canva team. The Canva team is always excited to see educators and to be able to share just all the different ways Canva can be leveraged with students and by educators of all roles.
That's awesome. How many years have you been going to FETC?
Well, I've only been to FETC once, to be honest.
Okay.
And
All
the
right.
one time I went there was in New Orleans. So this is my first time being to FETC in Orlando. Last year, I had a session accepted to FETC, and then sadly had to back out because I found out I was going to bet in England,
Oh, that's
which was
exciting.
also a really great opportunity. However, I'm so excited that this year I have the opportunity to just connect with everybody at FETC. I had some other teammates that attended FETC last year, and oh my gosh, they couldn't say more just glowing remarks about the conference as a whole. And everybody online was just talking about all the learning, all the connections, all the events. So your video that you played here is before we kicked it off. I'm like,
Yeah.
I am pumped. I'm ready to go and see everybody. So I can't wait.
Wonderful. When do you head down?
I'm actually heading down on the 14th.
Okay.
So I'm presenting on the 14th, and we're going to arrive there on the 14th.
All right. Well, that is excellent. Well, thank you for taking some time and sharing some of your work at FETC, but a broader look. And for those who are looking to check out all of our work, make sure to stop in to the South Room 230B at 4:00 on Tuesday, or you can see and meet during the author experience on Thursday at 1:30 as well. And the website's still scrolling down the bottom. Make sure to see all of the great resources, well over the 20 minutes that we talked today and well over the 2-hour session that she's giving on Tuesday. There's so much to learn from Liz. Make sure to check that out. So Liz, safe travels on Tuesday. And I look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you in Orlando for your first Orlando experience.
Yay. Thank you. Likewise.
Wonderful. And again, thank you to Identity Automation for your great partnership. And for those of you continuing to watch and listen, we'll be having one episode drop every day until the 14th till we kick off at FETC. Then we'll be podcasting live the 14th and 15th there. So for all of you, get excited. Liz, I look forward to seeing you in Orlando.
Thank you, Matthew.